My name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tavenga-Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music in Today FM, in Malak Island. Today FM rock.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news tonight, hundreds march to protest for workers' rights. Seaports to be closely monitored for drug trafficking. And pre-COP23 outcome a success.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spade.
Around 400 workers, including some bystanders, marched through the streets of the capital this morning, claiming unfair treatment at workplaces. The march, for which a permit was granted, included union veterans such as former political rivals Felix Anthony and Mahindra Chaudhry. Pranita Prakash has more.
What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it?
Members from around 5 sectors and a non-worker organization marched from Flea Market to Sukuna Park in an attempt to draw attention to a whole lot of issues.
We are dealing with the most fundamental issues that affect workers on an everyday basis, and that is about having decent wages, putting decent food on the table, it's having rights at work, it's having dignity at work.
Civil Service Minister Ayah Sayed Qayyum says the trade unions haven't been able to remodel their work into the 21st century.
If you ask only Fijians, what do you want? Do you want civil servants to be performing well and delivering good service to them? They'll say yes. If you ask them and said to them, do you want a civil servant who is not a performer to continue to serve you? They'll of course say no. These are taxpayers' money. But the fact of the matter is that for the first time in Fiji's history, you've had civil servants receiving such high pay rises in a lump sum.
Top on the agenda at the march today was a demand for a $4 minimum wage for unskilled workers, protest against contracts for civil servants, and calling for the return of secret ballots and a subsequent right to strike without verification of the voting procedure without the supervision of the elections office.
These are some of the things that workers are worried about, and they want to, for the authorities, the powers that be, to know that this will not will be tolerated by the working class.
It just shows that this needed to happen, that we needed to have a voice for workers in this country.
There are constitutional provisions, there are provisions within the Employment Relations Act that says that people do have a right to strike. However, you have to follow particular processes. This is what the unions are telling you.
Because we want to fight for our union rights. We want justice to be done.
I think it's only fair if they can get $4 if they're up to their way of working. If they are experienced enough, then I think they deserve it.
Because we believe that the calls that they have today is in line with protecting, as our banner says, human rights.
The march concluded at the Sukuna Park with different speakers calling for the government to hear their request. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Seaports is an area the police is closely monitoring to counter drugs entering our shores through containers, fishing vessels and cruise ships. The police commissioner says they're monitoring all the port of entries to ensure drugs are confiscated and arrest those involved. Akusita Thale reports.
It's believed the port of entries around the country is an area where drug movements are heavily involved in.
We will be moving into the seaports. We are currently building our dog detector unit facility here in Suva, at Nassova, and that is another partnership with FERCA and the Fiji Police Force. FERCA dog handlers and Fiji Police Force dog handlers were trained in New Zealand and came with their dogs that was given by the New Zealand authorities.
Brigadier General Sitiveni Hall believes there is a local market actively involved in selling of hard drugs like methamphetamine and ice.
We have information that pushers approach well-off people when they go to refill at gas stations and also upmarket nightclubs in Suva during the week, not towards the weekend, but midweek when these people tend to go out.
The police commissioner adds they are talking to the Interpol to help our officers make more arrests in our port of entries. While Fijians have commended the effort by the police, some say more is still needed to be done.
I reckon they should probably equalize the people that they send out to check out with regards to drugs, and they should probably equalize it with regards to where it's coming in from the port. But other than that, I really think they should focus on the local students and where, not the local students, sorry, the local citizens and where it's coming from.
We don't know the kind of drugs that are being brought into our seaports, so I support the work of the police in trying to combat this drug issue.
I think more work should be done because like over the past few years it wasn't really regulated, and you see all these drugs coming in, so yeah, I think it should be regulated.
Police will work together with the Fiji Revenue and Customs Service to ensure that our seaports are safe and free from drug traffickers. Ako si Tatali, FBC News.
The pre-COP23 meeting in Nadi ended on a high note following discussions on issues that might affect negotiations in Bonn next month. About 300 representatives from 68 countries gathered in Nadi for the meeting that lasted 3 days. Eleanor Turangaivu has more.
Following a series of meetings behind closed doors, the first ever pre-COP meeting to be hosted by a small island state ended with a few outcomes, which basically will be the agenda for COP23 next month.
We have important outcomes at Bonn. One is in relation to progress on the implementation guidelines of the Paris Agreement, which must show substantial progress this year at this Bonn in order that a negotiated outcome can be presented to COP at COP24.
Another issue is the design of the facilitative dialogue for 2018. COP23 is expected to set the stage for this dialogue, which will culminate in COP24 in Poland.
But I'm happy to say that at this particular pre-COP, parties seem to have accepted wholeheartedly that it will be called the Talanoa Dialogue. So it's one of our responsibilities to produce a design for that dialogue, which will unfold next year.
Discussions on the enhancement of the nationally determined contributions, resilience, the Paris Agreement work program, and Partners for Climate Action initiative were also held.
Other important outcomes which we had identified but we wanted to have some guidance on in relation to COP23 were whether there were possibilities of outcomes on finance, on climate financing, whether parties wanted to have discussions about loss and damage, whether the negotiations around the Gender Action Plan were moving in a satisfactory manner, and whether the Indigenous People and Communities platform could be made operational this year.
The COP23 presidency says discussions were extremely constructive and the tone was progressive and forward-looking, with very clear messages from the state parties on what is expected of Fiji.
So I'm happy to say that on a number of very, very important issues, the presidency now has a very clear pattern of where we're going as we approach COP23, and very importantly, we got a very clear picture about what people expected from us on the Paris Agreement work program.
The COP23 meet will be held from the 6th to the 17th of November in Bonn, Germany. Eleanor Turangaivu, FBC News.
Fiji Airways planted its 2,500th tree for 2017 yesterday afternoon as part of its Every Takeoff One Tree initiative. Last year, the national airline pledged to plant a tree for every international takeoff from the Nadi airport. Over 100 staff planted 1,500 mangroves at Lautoka's Saweni Beach and 500 mangroves near Maisuva Park on the Nasese foreshore. Managing Director Andre Fillion says the airline is committed to the environment and is trying to offset as much of carbon emissions as possible. Fillion says along with buying modern fuel-efficient aircrafts to reduce its carbon footprint, they're flying the flag for Fiji's COP23 presidency and climate action messages through tangible actions. Still to come, Aquaculture project to revive coastal fisheries and Queen's contests for Miss Fiji titles. Stay with us.
Moala rarara ranalika o tikongona taon na singafoka ando talifaka na wakaronga ng Bull FM number 2 na sere.
Ya dora subuli kurna bili. Iborani batukara hambara binanga. Do talitakina na wakaronga ng Bull FM number 2 na sere. Bula.
Bull FM number 2 na sere.
A 6-month assessment conducted by the Fisheries Ministry has revealed that Fiji's coastal fisheries is depleting. Therefore, the ministry, along with assistance from China's Guangdong province, have undertaken a piloted aquaculture or sea farming project to revive it. Rachel Nath has the details.
Conservation is now top priority for the Fisheries Ministry, concentrating its efforts in inshore and coastal fisheries.
If we breed fish and other resources like shrimp and prawns, then we will alleviate the pressure on our coastal and inshore within the reef system. If we are able to develop aquaculture, then we will have fish available.
China's Guangdong and Hunan province have shown interest towards this project.
Recently, 2 weeks ago, gave us 660,000 in funding, and they will also follow up with technical expertise.
The initial funding is like say 2 million RMB, yeah, and I think we will continue to fund, as the project goes.
A feasibility study is expected to be undertaken within the next 2 months to find out more.
And we still need to find what type of marine products or what kind of fishing products we are going to cultivate, either shrimp or prawns or coral fish. These are still wait to be researched or identified, I think.
This initiative is also in line with government's voluntary commitment made in New York during the United Nations Oceans Conference. Rachel Nath, FBC News.
Basic Industries Limited has remodeled its services, now providing not only cement blocks but construction of homes. Now known as Basic Homes, the company will construct modular homes at their factory in Vatuanga before installation on site. Basic Homes is a subsidiary of Fijian Holdings Limited, and its Group Chief Executive Nozab Farid says being a supplier, they saw potential in modular homes. Farid says modular homes will not only be affordable but is expected to be up in 2 months. Basic Industries Limited is also working with the Lands Ministry to identify land for construction of homes.
We are also talking to the banks to get a home loan package. So we'll give you the home loan, you have a land, we'll come with the money, we'll come with the material, we'll build the house.
The South Pacific Stock Exchange has seen an increase in new investors over the month of September. Exchange Manager Operations Pritesh Prasad says 8 investors entered the market, bringing the total to 114 new investors for the year. Prasad says the traders in the workforce are now considering the market as an investment tool.
If you look at the age range of investors who are actually investing in our stock market, this is usually the age range of above 26 to 35, which takes the lead.
It's a battle of towns and cities as 11 young women compete to be the next Miss Fiji. Tokasa Rainima caught up with the contestants as they made their first appearance in Suva today.
And when they return, they come.
There was no space for cold feet as the young queens stood out to represent their people. However, the excitement is twice the second time around.
Coming from Hibiscus as your Miss Suva, I feel that I've really come a long way in a sense where I've learnt more, and I'm eager to learn more and gain more knowledge in what I have to learn in this pageant.
So I would say that at least for all the contestants, we feel more confident than we were stepping into camp this last week.
I'm just looking forward to the whole week event, enjoying time and seeing the atmosphere and enjoying everything that is in place for us queens as well.
Local Government Minister Praveen Kumar says the Miss Fiji pageant allows all crown queens to compete fairly for a more prestigious crown to represent our small island nation in the Pacific Islands pageant.
We thought that there is something wrong and we have to get it right. And that is to involve all the towns and city winners for a pageant like this. And now you will see all towns and cities, the winners are on this platform.
The theme for this year's pageant is Fijian municipalities advocate for environmental protection against climate change. The Pacific Island pageant will be hosted by Fiji in Nadi later this year. Tokas Rainima, FBC News.
In sports after the break, Drua suffers first home loss. And soccer legends hope for improvement. This and more coming up.
I'm Andrea Sorbakroa of Neabu Wenibuga Telebu. Whenever I want to tune in to listen to great music, I always tune in to my favorite radio station, Gold FM, only the classic.
My name is Lita. We love listening to Gold FM here at the Fiji Hideaway Resort and Spa. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
We here at Kano Waterfront, Lautoka, love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the
The Fiji Airways draw side suffered its first home loss to leaders Queensland Country by 24-17 in the National Rugby Championships this afternoon. Both teams were locked 12-all at half-time before Queensland scored 2 more tries to seal the match. Vashnil Prasad reports.
It was a clash of the two top teams at Lautoka's Churchill Park today. Table leaders Queensland Country started strongly with Caleb Timu, scored a brace of tries, followed by 2 tries from Teti Tela and Neto Nambuli. Drua captain John Stewart says Queensland Country came out strongly.
There were a lot of opportunities. The difference today, Queensland Country took their chances, we didn't. So full credit to Queensland Country.
The Fijian Drua also ran in 3 tries, each from skipper Stewart, Apisalome Wangatambu and Frank Lomani.
Just trying to be patient, but we pushed the passes too far. There were a lot of drop balls, supposed to be on our advantage, but the boys didn't make use of it.
With Nambuli, Filipon Dangunu was also part of Queensland's side. Nambuli says it's always great to play at home against the talented local players.
I feel amazing, playing with first time here in Fiji. So yeah, it was good to have a win. Also hard game.
The Drua went down fighting 24-17. They will meet Sydney Rays next Saturday at ANZ Stadium in Suva. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Army was crowned the new champions of the ANZ Sukuna Bowl in Suva last night. The Republic of Fiji military forces beat police 19-12 in the yearly showdown in front of their families and friends. Vashnil Prasad again with this story.
It was a mouth-watering battle between the two forces as the Army gave all their best to stop their brothers in blue from claiming a third-year victory.
It's a lot of pain on a struggle, training, and now we have sacrificed a lot just to come here and play. We trained to win.
The men in red and green made a powerful start, leading 13-7 at the halftime break. Police scored another try to narrow the gap in the second half.
It was coming hard, but we were trying to maintain our defense. Just try to keep our composure.
The heavy downpour didn't stop the Army from pushing 2 penalty kicks against the strong police team.
Wherever you are in Sinai, Lebanon, Golan Heights, wherever you are serving, this win is for you.
Army proving to be the better of the two, beating police 19-12 and taking the Sukuna Bowl to sit at the Queen Elizabeth Barracks this year. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Vilimoni Koroi's Otago rugby team failed to qualify for the Mitre 10 Championship final after losing to Bay of Plenty by 48-32. Koroi scored a try, but it was not enough to seal the match. Wellington are 1 win away from returning to the Mitre 10 Cup Premiership, and it will be nothing less than they deserve. Dominant all season, Wellington were initially shaky, but then overwhelming in their 49-21 semi-final victory over Northland. The legends of the 1977 Fiji football team believe there's many hidden raw talents in the country. They're calling the Fiji Football Association to put in more effort in certain areas to improve the level of the sport.
The captain of the Fiji football team that beat Australia in 1977, George Koi, is hoping the standard of football will improve in the country. He says the youths need to be encouraged to have more pride in representing our nation.
Support them. Let's give them everything that they stand in need of, and let's work together as a team as we did 40 years ago.
Koi has called on the Fiji FA to work together and lift our national team on the FIFA World Ranking.
The officials of Fiji football, we need to go up. We have hidden talents in our country. We need to discover them.
Jimmy Okete, who scored the lone goal in Fiji's historic 1-0 win over Australia 40 years ago, says more focus should be put on club games and developments.
The only thing that I feel that they should do more is introduce more club games. I came through inter-primary soccer, inter-secondary soccer, and club games, which I don't see now. It's more focus on the districts.
Meanwhile, the Vodafone Fiji football team goes into camp tomorrow to prepare for Estonia on the 19th of next month at ANZ Stadium in Suva. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Adelaide United and Melbourne Victory have shared the points in a thrilling 2-2 draw in the A-League game last night. The excitement is building as the World Cadet Championship begins in Suva on Tuesday. Organisers say everything is in place and are counting down to the tournament. Vashnil Prasad with the story.
It's shaping to be one of the best international competition organised by the Fiji Table Tennis Federation. World Cadet Championship organiser Steve Rayleigh says they are impressed with the support provided by the locals here.
We've been getting a lot of support. There's some logistical problems, clearing customs and things like that we're still working through. But from support from FBC and local sponsors has been amazing.
More than 200 participants from 40 countries are ready to battle it out against the world's best.
Last week or two I was in Europe preparing with the Rough Diamonds program and 2 tournaments, the Serbia and Slovenia Open.
The championship will be held from Tuesday to Sunday at the Vodafone Arena in Suva next week. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Cloudy conditions with showers were experienced over the southern and eastern parts and the interior of the larger islands today. However, fine weather prevailed elsewhere apart from isolated afternoon showers. Looking at the west, it was not too hot today as cloudy conditions was experienced in all the centres. Bar was the hottest at 32 degrees. Eastwards from Pack Harbour to Suva, it was same weather conditions. It was windy and cool today with the capital recording the lowest temperature at 25 degrees. And up north, cloudy periods with brief showers was experienced in the Northern Division. At sea, a strong wind warning remains in force for all Fiji waters. Southeast winds 20 to 25 knots. There will be rough seas. And for the tides, high tide tomorrow morning will be at 8:26 with low tide at 2:13 in the afternoon. Sunrise will be at 6:37. For tomorrow, it will be fine in all the centres in Vitilevu. However, cloudy conditions is expected for Nambawalu and Lambasa. There will be rain in Savusavu. And our further outlook, southeast winds 20 to 25 knots, rough seas, moderate southerly swells. Recapping the main stories. Hundreds marched to protest for workers' rights. Seaports to be closely monitored for drug trafficking, and pre-COP23 outcome a success. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we are asking, do you think fireworks are too expensive this year? Visit our FBC website to answer. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. Bye for now.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ। मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1। इट्स सो हॉट।
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट।
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेकी से मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं। मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट। आई लव मिर्ची एफएम।
हमें स्पिन तो हुआ कि मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे।
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट।